Welcome back to the PP Winter Circle podcast. I'm your host, Hunter, and to my right is Mr. Rodney.
Hello, folks.
In the orange is Mr. Randy.
How you doing today?
And as y'all can tell, we do not have the cat in the hat today. Unfortunately, he is out sick with some bad allergies and a whole bunch of stuff going on. So he ain't gonna be here today. But as y'all can tell, we have a guest with us. And who are you?
Matt Henderson. I think everybody knows me from wrecking stuff or doing some interesting stuff, but no. Got invited to do this podcast with some old buddies.
Yeah. Glad to have you. I appreciate you.
You got the old part right. Definitely.
Well, Matt, I appreciate you coming down and doing this with us. So to start it off, obviously, how'd you get started in racing?
My dad owned different race cars and had people driving them. He never raced himself, but he was always honestly infatuated with racing. It didn't matter what it was, whether it was straight line drag racing, asphalt, road course, it didn't matter. He just liked things that raced, and I kind of got involved in it through him doing that and got to working on the cars, and then decided that I'd like to try it. And so I jumped in one of his cars after the races at Spring City and made like 20 of the best laps, for somebody that's never been in one. And then way exceeded my talent level and just destroyed this race car, just knocked the whole front end off of it. And Dad's like, I don't think now's the time you're ready to start. We'll revisit later. So a couple of years went by and got into it, and pretty much other than some injuries and sidelines like that, I've been doing it ever since.
About what year was this?
So when I crashed, it was 2000, and I started racing in 2002.
So he held you back for 2 years?
Yeah. And when I did start, he said, now listen, if you shorten this one up 4 foot, we're done for a while. Yeah. I'm not buying no more. So I was real cautious for a year or two.
Where did you break your teeth at? And break your teeth in at?
So Spring City mostly, Laurel Mountain. Laurel Mountain's closed for good now, but Spring City still, it's good seeing them get back going. But yeah, I did that my first year, didn't go anywhere else. And then started racing with you at Atomic the following year, and years to come after that. So Atomic was where I really developed. The Spring City and Laurel Mountain back in the day, you just hope that nobody had to fight to get you way out. And I mean, that era of Spring City, you needed a gun escort to get out of the gate, But
well, yeah, that was completely a different configuration, so to speak.
Oh yeah,
even the track.
Yeah, it didn't have much of a racetrack back then. You rode through the infield pretty much. That's where you stayed. You kept moving tires and stuff out of the way. Matter of fact, I spun out one time there, and Scott Holcomb jumped over the hood of my car because I spun through the infield. You remember him, the photographer?
Yeah, I remember him.
He had to jump over my car because I knocked the tire that he was standing on clean out from under him.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. No.
Do you miss Atomic?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just nothing can replace that deal. You raced down there about every week like I did, in 2003, 4, and everybody got along. Now you'd have your sideways, but it was always over the next week. It's not like anything we got now.
Yeah.
It was just a different. Everybody tried to help each other, and it was really cool, especially for me learning and developing. Everybody, when I'd screw up, everybody'd come over and grab me around the neck and be like, "Hey, you need to watch what you're doing. You need to, And they did it more helping you than trying to kill you. Now they just try to kill you.
So throughout your career, like Atomic and the old Spring City, and now that you've ran quite a few different with teams and different tracks and stuff, which one is your ultimate favorite track?
Oh man, I love Bulls Gap. I love the new I-75, the way they've got it configured right now. But my favorite is Magnolia in Columbus, Mississippi, and it's you can go 4 and 5 wide there. It's awesome. I love what they did to this Smoky Mountain. I didn't go, but I watched the footage of Randy winning this past weekend, and he was spreading out and moving all over. So I haven't got to race there yet, so it reminds me a lot of Magnolia, the way it's shaped, and I have high hopes for it being as cool as Magnolia.
So you like the slick Magnolia?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Another cool one is like 45 minutes from there is Why Not. When it gets slick and it has a little traction ring around the top and the bottom, it's like 40 foot between that very outside and the inside. So you have to have a traction ring to go around that top, but they do have one. And you cut off that infield and it evens out, man, you race like crazy there. So both of those places are really good.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of good things about Magnolia.
You need to get down there.
Yeah.
It's awesome to see.
Yeah.
So, as most of the viewers that keep up with you, you had a chassis change this year.
Mm-hmm.
And you've drove the Longhorn a few times this year and such. How are you liking that change?
It's been good to us. So I tested one day at Smoky, and then I raced it last weekend. Well, tried to race it, and we broke an MSD box, hot lapping for the feature. But we set fast time and won our heat, so it was good. But we just swapped chassis because it was time for a change. But I didn't swap chassis for any reason other than that's just the direction we were going. Rusty had ties to Longhorn. He spotted for the owner of Longhorn when he was trying to do NASCAR. Rusty, my car owner, was a NASCAR spotter for a long time. So they had a relationship. My shock builder had a relationship with them, and so they've welcomed me, and it's been good, and they've treated me good. But I left somewhere that I had been on and off since 2012, and me and Chip feud like brothers. I mean, honestly, like he's thrown wrenches at me in the shop. I mean, we throw down, but I love my CBR family too. Chip, Corbin, Jerry, Jason, even Brent and Travis, the cousins. I mean, just it was hard when we decided that's what we were doing, and we found out about it. And then the week it all went down, Chip and them had come back from Brunswick and found that their chassis was bent. And literally the week my car owner told Chip, actually the day my car owner told Chip that he was going to Longhorn, we were putting a front clip on Chip's house car. And so we put a front clip on that car that week, and they went to Alltech and won 100 G's, I want to see them be successful, but we're trying to get our own success too. And, I think the world of them, but it's been good to me so far.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand it. Sometimes you have to make decisions that's best for you, and I don't mean you hate anybody or got anything against anybody.
No.
It's just better for you.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just a business decision.
Right.
And what this sport runs off business decisions. It's not like it used to be,
Right.
I mean, you've got to do what's best for the racing you're doing and the traveling you're doing and who's going to financially be able to help you. I mean, everything's
Right.
so expensive now. So a lot of it comes down to a business decision,
So give your owner a plug. I know he'll want to hear his name go across there.
Yeah, Rusty Webb. So I actually drove for him in 2020. Before I drove the CBR house car, I drove his car in 2020, and we had success with it. And I wasn't driving for Chip and them, and then Rusty talked about me driving for him, but he had a driver. And then when he didn't have a driver, I had a ride, and so it never worked out. And then him and his driver split, and he decided that he'd call me, and I didn't have a ride at the time. We've been racing together ever since. That's 3 years ago now, but Rusty's been really good to me. We both have tempers, so people thought it would be short-lived, but we just kind of yell at each other and go on. We have a good time.
Now, last year you ran with the Cruiser Series.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them a little bit about how you did there and the different places you went and such.
We struggled. We struggled a lot early last year and couldn't qualify real good. And then in the feature, we passed everybody we got to. We spotted the field 8 rows all the time, so it's just hard to have success. But I won the 10,000 at Volusia, and I was like, man, we're gonna have a really good year. That was it. That was the highlight of the year. I mean, it got over in February and we were done. But I got the Hard Charger Award, I don't know, 15 times last year. And you never want to get that award. That's about like hard luck. You don't
Maybe
want to
once a year, but not 15 times.
Yeah, you don't want those plaques.
No.
They hand them to you and you're like, thanks. But we had good race cars in the features. Just couldn't get it done early, and struggled for the most part. But we've made a lot of changes and just tried testing and doing things in the off season to try to pick back up on the early part of the night. So hopefully we don't repeat that.
Yeah. Are you? What's your plans for this year?
We're gonna run cruiser again. Last year we had a mechanical failure the first race, and we were like 31st in points leaving, not one. So I was like, man, that's going to be hard to overcome, and it was. I mean, even with good luck and good qualifying and good results, you spotting them that many points on not one is hard to overcome. This year, I was like, man, we're going to be first 2 rows, we're going to be good, MSD box, and I'm like, not again, So we unloaded the backup car and rallied to 10th, and at least we got a little better spot this year.
So when you say you rallied to 10th, did you get another Hard Charger Award?
I don't know. Somebody else had to, because so the way they do the starts, I was still charged with starting 3rd, even though I had to go to a backup car. So the results won't show. The results will actually show I backed up 7 spots.
I see.
But it didn't feel like it when I was elbows up,
So what is the next race that you're going to be going to?
We go to Screven this week, Screven, Georgia. It's a memorial race, which is always somber to win, or even compete in, because somebody's doing it in memory of somebody they loved and cared about. So you try to show reverence there and not show your tail if something bad happens or whatever. But we're going down there. We'll leave Thursday, and I've only raced there once, so I'm excited to get back.
Yeah.
What size of track is that, Scrappy?
It's a small 3/8, but it's so tight cornered. I mean, you can slide, and there'll be a lot of bent sheet metal. Like, you race tight there and hard.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So what is the hardest track you've ever raced at?
Man, maybe Brownstown, Indiana, or Tazewell. Tazewell's just not been good to me. I won't say it's difficult, but man, stuff gets.
It happens quick, don't it?
Yeah, well, I have torn mounds of PPM parts up at Tazewell.
Yeah, it happens quick there.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna ask him the question. Ricky'd ask him if he's here.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to leave that to the professor.
What is it, the question Ricky asked?
What would you change?
What would you change in racing if
The one thing that you think needs to be changed to make racing better.
that would be better for everybody?
Well, more money, right? I mean,
Well,
we
yeah.
all want more money.
Yeah.
We all want a cheaper way to race, right? So to accomplish that, to me, we have to get more people interested, because the more people that buy tickets, the more money profitable the racetracks can be, the better they can be to us at the back gate.
Right.
So I really don't know how to do it, so I'm not acting like I do, but we have to find a way to get the younger generation involved, to get them to bring mom and dad to sit in the stands. And there's an entertainment value there that we may be missing. And if it's cutting out qualifying and drawing to heat or whatever it is, and I hate that as a racer, as a guy that's owned my own race teams, I hate thinking about that. But we're going to have to do something to get these racetracks people in the stands, because we can't keep doing it off streaming alone.
No.
And we've got to find a way. Back in Atomic days before I raced, I was the kid at the stands, waving at the drivers when they were doing their salute. I was down there getting autographs on a checkered flag. Where do you have that anymore? So
Yeah.
we don't have people getting interested in the sport at a young age anymore. And then our audience is getting older and they're not coming, or they're not able to come, or they've passed. And we've got to do something to rejuvenate the age of the sport, or it's how many years does it have left?
Well, you've got so much with this generation of younger people. You've got so much to compete against.
Mm-hmm.
You do. You've got so many other things that they can do, and until they make that connection with that driver,
Yeah.
you had that connection. That driver, all that driver had to do was sign your flag, and he was your man.
Mine was
what I
Dale
mean?
McDowell.
Yeah, he was your man after that. So, yeah, and I think there's several things to do, but you've got to bring in more interest in it, and you've got to look at the entertaining factor. I think I said something, wasn't it Raymond Shepard that was here, about having a school bus race or something.
Yeah.
I've always had those ideas to do that stuff because, you could even have the local personalities on the radio station or something come out and
Drive
compete in
the
something.
school bus, yeah.
Hey, make a Crown Vic car. Build you 2 or 3 of them and let them compete, and people want to see that stuff.
I think that would be a big draw. I've never thought about that.
Idea.
That is a good idea.
To build a Crown Vic, yeah, bud. Somebody needs to do that.
I like the school bus deal because it's already yellow. We could have PPM sponsor them.
Yeah.
They're already yellow. Just slap a sticker on it.
Hey, people like that stuff.
And
Then you can get them into the racing. What you want to do is get those kids in a routine that they know. Saturday night is race night. Mom, Dad, let's go. For me as a kid, Saturday night was a racetrack somewhere. It didn't matter if the prom was going on or whatever. I was at the racetrack. So you've got to get that interest, and I think when you make that connection, it just means more. It's like when you know somebody out there that's racing, or you have a connection with them, you get out there and cheer for them. When I first went to Atomic, the guy I rooted for and had set in the stands was H.E. Vineyard. I love to watch H.E. Vineyard.
Hard-nosed racing.
Come down that front straightaway, baby, and he had that thing all ready. I mean, I love to watch H.E. Now, there's some people didn't like him. He had about part of them that liked him, part of them made. But as a kid, I loved H.E. Vineyard.
See, that's another thing that we don't have anymore. Even it's changed in the last 6 or 7 years, because me and Hedgecock had a rivalry going, and we would tag each other on Facebook, like jacking it up, making people get invested in it. Now they don't care who, one car versus the other. They're just not as involved. They come to see the racing, but they don't. You need the rivalries too.
Yeah.
And there's not a better heel than Hedgecock, if we were talking wrestling, you know what I mean? So.
No. It's kind of like the guy over at Charlotte told him about the fight.
Roger Slack, yeah.
Roger Slack, he'd always told him they didn't want no fighting in the pits, but if they wanted to fight, they could fight on the front straightaway.
Yeah. So I remember there was a sign somewhere that I went that said $500 fine if you fight in the pits. $500 cash prize if you fight on the front straightaway.
Yeah. That's like Bowman Gray over there. The place is packed.
That's not racing. That's entertainment. And they got it figured
That's
out.
almost like WWE.
Well, that's
But
where
is somebody
To-
writing
not
a check
hardly,
to the
but-
racers, like you destroy $20,000 worth of stuff, does somebody go, hey, we had a really good night, here's you something extra at the pay window? Because I can't imagine me taking Rusty's car out there, destroying it, standing on the roof and cheering after I destroyed it, and him going, let's go back next week.
Yeah, exactly.
in the next week.
Yeah,
Exactly.
this ain't going to happen. But somebody's got to be putting some money behind that. But whatever they do,
It works, don't
it
it?
works, man. I want to go. I don't ever want to race there because
I've always wanted to go.
I would like to go. We need to get in the truck and go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you said, it's entertainment.
The times he's talking about there, like at the Atomic with HE, you had Blunquist running there a lot then. You had Herman and Rusty Goddard, Jack Tremble.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people to pull for that could pull the wind off.
Yeah.
But there was a period of time there, I remember that one year, it was either HE or Scott.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. And they actually became buddies, but
Yeah.
yeah. In the end.
In the end.
Yeah. You know, that's something when me and you were getting our feet wet in supers at Atomic. Jimmy Owens came down. Mikey Marler came down. You had Billy Ogle Jr., you had Patrick Dugan, you had Randy Weaver, Tommy Devaney. I mean, you had 6 or 7 guys, and if you ran top 5, you might as well count that as a win. Cause
when I first started, you named all them. It Randall Chuck, Scott
Randall
Sexton,
Chuck
Mark
I
Martin.
forgot about Sexton. Mark Douglas.
I mean, you would, which I was at the back, but you would
Me
look
too.
up through there and you're like, my land, they was 18 cars there that could win.
Do you remember in 2000 they paid $2,000 to win in their late models, and they would have to run 2 features because they'd have 36 to 40.
That's when Brandon was there, wasn't it?
Brandon?
No,
Carson
that's
Brandon.
when
Carson Brandon, yeah.
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 That's when it was
Brandon.
NASCAR.
Yeah. Yeah, it was that NASCAR series. 1999 that came.
But that's the type of, yeah. I mean, I think about Mike Weeks was running over, like he said, dude.
Yeah.
And, I mean, yeah, Ogle and Mark Martin and Randall Chuck and Scott Sexton.
Yeah, and a whole slew full of Dugans. You had Patrick and Derek,
Derek.
and
You think Dan?
Dan.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just kind of sit here and reminisce.
Yeah. I mean, that was the heyday, man. And I remember people being like, so you weren't real good when you first started, were you? And I'm like, brother, I mean, running 10th was a solid night, you know? I was running against, Patrick won a half a Tampa championship. He won the topless championship. Derek Dugan was winning Southern All-Star races. You had, Devaney could pull off a win any night. Then you had freaking Mikey Marler and Jimmy Owens, Billy Ogle Jr., and you had all these names, and they're like, yeah, you just, you ran 10th. And I'm like, heck yeah, I ran 10th, and I'm proud of it.
Yeah, no kidding.
You
It was some competition. It was just the place, man. It was awesome.
So speaking back on times like that, what is one of your most memorable moments of your racing career?
Man, overall, I've had a lot of great times, a lot of cool stuff, but overall, we did, back in the day, people would help you, but they wouldn't get under your car and go through your race car. They would not help you get your car faster. They may tell you straighten up your corner, or, fix you driving, but they weren't going to give you information. And I parked next to Dwayne Hallman one weekend at Atomic, and he watched me hot lap. I was running what we called limited late models then, which is not compared to the limiteds now, but he watched me hot lap, and he goes, man, that car doesn't look good. You mind if I look at it? And I'm like, God, yes, do whatever you want to do. And he went and got springs out of his trailer because I didn't have them. He changed my springs and fixed a bunch of stuff, and I went out there and I ran 3rd, and I was 15th most times, and he really helped me. So he had an accident that really took one of the stars of the sport away way too quick. He's still alive, but he can't race now, and so it ended his career. And so years later, I'm like, man, people don't know how great this guy was, and new fans don't even know he was a racer. So we did a tribute car to him, and we won several races with it, but he got to come to I-75. And he always had this saying, he said, when we get there, I didn't come there to make friends. I'm going to set fast time and lead every lap. And we set fast time and led every lap. And he met me in Victory Lane, and 90% of his time is spent in a wheelchair now. He's got a bum leg. And they got him to Victory Lane in his wheelchair, and he stood up to take the Victory Lane picture. And I don't know, I can race for 20 more years and not match that. That night was
That's pretty awesome.
it. Mm-hmm.
Pretty
Very
awesome.
awesome.
So that would top it for me.
He's a wheel man.
Yeah, he was.
I never got to watch anything.
Man, he could do things in a race car then that people are starting to do now. He understood air, and he could maneuver. The racetrack would be locked down in the bottom, and he knew to drive in straight and diamond the corner to get the rubber with the left sides leaving. He was amazing to watch, especially in that era, because somehow he understood it. Scott helped him a bunch, but he understood things on a different level, and he could just make things happen that nobody else knew how. He was amazing.
Scott helped him, but he had a natural talent of just driving a race car.
Yeah, unreal.
Don't have that much anymore.
Hmm.
You don't have that much anymore.
Well, I would liken it to that you're born with some of that, but I would also liken it to he had a focus even in the pit area that most of them have.
He was sold out to it.
Yeah.
He was sold out. His results is all that mattered. It didn't matter what was going on around him in life. When he got to the racetrack, the only thing he cared about was winning that race. Life would come back to him at the end of the night.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. That's like a key factor that's missing in racing today. Like, and it stuck with me since the Ricky Wise podcast. It's not about talent anymore. It's about money and buying speed.
Well, the cars are so good that it is about talent to a point, but the cars are so good, so much better than they was then.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about a car that he could go win with that most couldn't drive this day and time.
That's a fact. That's a fact. The cars of that era compared to today, totally different. You would save the race cars handled so bad that you would save tire. Now we qualify every lap. I mean, we are elbows up every lap of the feature.
True.
Back then, you had to lay and wait and make your runs count, and you'd watch a guy push his right front off and he had to rest his right front. So that's when you attacked him. And you were very technically minded when you were racing. Now it's just, if you can't pass him, you just root him out of the way. I mean, it's way different. And talent matters when you go to big races because the top 10 have that level of talent. And then from there back, it can kind of fade. I mean, sometimes it's a full field of talent. But and that's when you see guys making moves and doing things. That's when it shows up. But, everybody's bought the speed now. So racing some places, and I'm not talking about any certain person, racing some places, a guy that buys speed will qualify where he may not necessarily belong yet, and that's when exciting things happen. I mean, that's oof.
That's why I always like a dry slick track.
Even to qualify.
It separates.
Yes.
It separates. And you talk about guys, and I hadn't really thought about it, guys waiting to make the move because you had to save your tires, you had to save your car. We used to go over to Atomic, and it'd black up, right? Well, then everybody wait for it to come back orange again.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to always, after for a while, our AT, he quit, and I quit watching him when I got older. I always watched Billy Ogle.
Oh, yeah.
People say, I remember Ray Cheek said, how do you come over and get around this track? When I was racing against him in the Mod 4s, how you get around? So I said, watch the 201.
Mm-hmm.
And Billy would set and set and set, and that track would change. Here you go. I've watched him do that and do that. But you'd see that track would change. And that's something you don't see at a lot of places around here.
Not anymore.
You don't see visibly that change in the track, and it's like, all right, it's go time.
Yep. I remember I ran, this is the highlight of my Atomic days, okay? I ran third in the Hall of Fame 100, okay? Jimmy Owens won, Randy Weaver second, and I was third. And I just bide my time, and I wait. And I remember Vic Hill was running fourth in Joe Arm's Barry Wright car. I don't know why Joe wasn't racing, but Vic was running it. And I watched him push his right front off, and I drove by him, and I'm like, holy heck. For some reason, I'm a race car driver this week, And but back then, I mean, you had to have a strategy. That was not just I'm gonna go on lap one, and I mean, you had to lay and wait.
That's what I always liked about racing, that strategy.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to asphalt racing, the 100-lap races, that's what I loved about it, strategy. I would get behind those guys. And I raced with Rusty there 2 or 3 years.
Really?
Up 411, me and him, yeah. We had some good races. And you would race those guys, and you'd race, and you'd say, well, you'd see a little smoke come off the right front. Yep, he's shoving.
Mm-hmm.
I'd just ride. And in a minute, he'd shove, and I'd run. It's, yeah. Yeah, I remember one night with Rusty over there. We were the only two over there that had dirt experience, that had been on dirt tracks. and I'll never forget it. We come off of 2, and his car kicked sideways. And about that time, mine kicked sideways, and we never let out of it. And them other guys like, how you do that? You'd be behind one of them. They'd always been out. When it kicked sideways, they'd get out of it.
And then they'd push
Me and
up the
him
hill.
just keep going. We just kept going. And you could tell that we'd been on dirt, and it didn't, And I know when I got behind Rusty,
Just
we was
to go.
going.
Just to
We was
go,
going.
yeah.
He wasn't going to stop if it got sideways. Keep her hammer down. I was right up on him one night, and he got sideways, and I got sideways. We just kept it going. I can still see it today. I thought, whoops, and he kept going because I first thought, oh, he's going to stop. He's going to try to get it back in. Nah, Rusty just kept her to the floor.
Yeah. Well, Rusty ain't got no lift in him, but people
No.
don't know he was really talented.
Yeah,
He was a good
yeah,
race car driver.
Yeah, I raced with him.
Yeah. He's
We
got
had fun over there.
He's got trophy after trophy from Newport, Kingsport, 411. He won a bunch of races too.
Yeah, he's the one who told me that night there's only 4 things touching the ground. He come up next to me with big old Rusty. I was just young. And he said, little man, he said, there ain't but 4 things that touch the ground. And I went, yeah.
Yeah, you better take care of them.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were stuff going on.
What are you talking about there, Rob?
We're supposed to be running the Hooters Cup, the Hooters takeoffs, and you had some that was running new stuff and getting through tech with it.
Mm-hmm.
The next week, I went and got me 4 new ones and went from qualifying 7th or 8th to almost getting on the pole with a car that was 10, 12-year-old.
Yeah.
End of the story.
Yep. I may know somebody that raced in that era, and I won't name any names, but they would go buy new ones and drive through their neighborhood and scuff them. And they'd look scuffed.
All you had to have was the stamp.
I remember that was right too. Yep. And you could get one of those stamps.
And my dad was in the tire business for 30 years.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that's where he started.
Yeah. So I don't care. We made a stamp, and it blowed their minds.
Yeah, he was in the recapping and vulcanizing and everything business. Truck tires.
Yeah, he sold passenger tires. Yeah, a little bit of everything. Yeah.
Well, you remember in the Atomic days there was some stamping going on too, when there was a tire rule.
Oh, there was for a while. It was bad.
Oh yeah.
And I would remember one night I was over Atomic at the scales, and they rode through there, and a buddy of mine there was standing there, and I said, "Yep, something's wrong." He said, "What?" He said, "How do you know?" I said, I'd been around Dad's Vulcan, the shop and everything, and seen how they've done stuff and recapping and stuff, and I could tell it. And he said, "How you tell?" I said, I can tell by looking at it, that it's not the natural rubber, that it's been replaced." He said, "Are you really?" I said, "I'm 100% positive. I bet everything I owned on it that tire ain't right."
And I'd say you were right, because I raced. I never knew anybody that could do it. Or I'm not gonna lie to you, I'd have been on it too, but I never knew. And I was always struggling. I'm like, man, those guys are just better than me. But I think their tires had a lot to do. They were better than me.
Well,
they had good tires too.
That's the moral of the story over there at 411. When I first went over there, I thought, man, we changed rear ends, we moved the rear end, we changed this, and I just could not get nowhere. And we done that one change, and bam. Went out to qualify, and Greg Collins, he had the parts trailer over there. He said, "I thought you were going to go through the wall. You come in that corner," but it just. And we talk about cheating, but everybody. What is the saying they say? If you ain't cheating, you ain't eating.
Yeah, cheating, you ain't eating. So that's the truth.
And
right there.
racers are going to try to get that edge.
They're going to do everything you let them get by with.
Yeah, and promoters have to be on top of it and have to be willing to stop it. And
Racers are prisoners, and the warden has to
You
do
got
the
it.
sentences.
You got it. Yeah, that's it.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And I remember when 2011 and 12 limited racing around here was at its prime. You had 15, 18 cars that could win, and they did not care if you tire prepped. Matter of fact, you couldn't walk through the pits without getting lung cancer. You could smell it 20 foot away from their trailer. And I did not get beat on tire prep. I promise you. My stuff, when I fired off, I didn't care what motor you had or what tire prep you were on. You were not beating me to turn one if we were on the front row. My stuff was good. But I never did it in a sanction race. It wasn't worth the gamble because I felt like everybody was legit. But I remember one time we were going through pre-race tech at 411. And, you know, it's asphalt, the pit area is. And they were like, do not bring your tires up here wrapped. And I'm like, man, that's screwed up. You know, it's going to mess up my tire wrap. And they were like, we're also going to check for prep. And I'm like, oh, no. I didn't have a tire that wasn't prepped. So I had to go through pre-race tech. And I had my axles in, which was stupid too, but I turned around and it was peeling up the asphalt. And the asphalt was sticking to my tires. And I'm like, But I didn't get beat on prep. My stuff was good.
Wow.
He's watching his own bobbers.
Yeah.
Taking care of himself.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to. Here's what it comes down to. Like he was saying, if the promoter doesn't do anything about it,
what
then
do you do?
What do you do? You have to.
Yeah.
What do you do?
You got to
Or go run 10th.
you either get in a swamp with them,
Yeah.
or you go to a different place. But you know, around here, then I mean, you had 10 or 12 tracks within 4 or 5 hours that were paying $2,000, $2,500, $3,000. Where were you going to go? $5,000, and I mean, racing didn't cost like it does now, so that was really good money. And you go, well, the only difference is they're prepping and I'm not. So I called everybody in the country and said, what's the best stuff? And then I started mixing everybody's best, and I had some stuff, man. I'm telling you, the tire would bubble, and I'd pour the flame to it, and it would soak it in. I'm like, I don't know, this is either going to be really good or really bad. But you know, that stuff was. I mean, everybody did it. I mean, it's just the way it was.
He's right. I mean, you either get with it or leave or quit, or be happy running 10th.
Yeah, and that's not in anybody. That's a competitor.
No.
And on that note, I would just like to say this is I want to give a very big shout out to Jesse and Duclos at Mountain View. Went there this past weekend, and I don't know if anybody's watching your friends with Mike Knuckles on Facebook. He made a post about it as well. Each car that went through pre-race tech was underneath on the scale for 5 minutes apiece. They checked bird cages, like on our modified, he checked bird cages, deck height, he checked shocks, tires, like what you're supposed to do. And there's people complaining, well, it's taking so long. I've never felt better about racing, about a car being in a race
Well, you
and
feel
being
like-
competitive.
Yeah.
Like it's like if we're all out there, then I know we're all the same.
You feel like you've got a chance.
Yeah. And it was just awesome. Like,
Well, what we're talking about is completely opposite.
I know.
I know.
But what I'm saying is,
I've been
is like,
places I didn't check nothing.
And
You know.
and they look at you sideways if you run third and be like, "What are we checking? What are you checking on the way?" And then they're like, "Scaled good, see you." You know, but
Yeah.
you know, all the places used to had a tech man that understand racing probably better than the racers. And man, they had a tape measure on them. I swear it was that big, you know. And they were measuring stuff, and they were crawling all around it, you know. And everybody felt like if I get beat, I just got beat,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
the race cars are by the rules. And that's what I like about the series that I run. And they will toss you. They tossed a guy last week because he had an aftermarket oil pan, and if they didn't have integrity about him, I wouldn't have known that. And second through 24th, he's a past champion. He's a dang good race car driver, and I'm sure they hated to do it, but they threw him out because the rule is it had to be a GM part. It was not, and they tossed him. You know, so I enjoy knowing on my good nights I won fair and square, and on my bad nights I just got beat. You know, tech gives you some security to go. You know, I'll go race more. You know, so I miss that when I would race around here a bunch. You know, just weekly stuff. Sometimes you didn't have to go across scales. You know, it's just that's the wild west. I mean, you're inviting cheating at that point.
But that's how you get cars. With a track or a series, you get more cars by doing the hard thing and throwing that guy out. It may be bad that week, but down the road, it will cause your series to grow or your track grow and have integrity.
For every one you throw out and 3 hear about it, they go, I'll go there. I mean, they're going to make it fair. I'll go there.
Yeah.
Racetracks have the misconception if I tech and I toss cars, I'm not going to have cars. They think, I don't care if it's legal. Just come, and then we'll handle it at the end of the night. You're better off teching and teching and teching. Just over-tech and make sure everybody's getting an advantage, because racers are here that you run a fair show, and they'll come. It don't matter how far it is.
Yeah.
But it ain't no different than any other sport. When you show up to play baseball or basketball, all you want that ref or ump to do is be fair.
On both sides of the ball. Yep.
And so when you show up at a racetrack and they've got a teching line and it took 10 minutes per car, I'll be happy about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Any racer that's trying to do things the right way loves that.
Yeah, they do.
That means I don't have to go buy that can of
Yeah,
crap.
exactly. Exactly.
Hey, back then tires were cheap. They were like $120 a piece, and I had about $220 a piece in them by the time I got done with them, because I had $400 in 4 different gallons of chemical.
Exactly. Now you know how these girls feel that's competing against these men.
That's a fact.
It just ain't fair, man.
No. They got a big block. Rest of us on an all steel 362.
Oh man.
Well, guys, this is where we're going to kick you over to the product spotlight of this podcast. Today's product spotlight is going to be our SLF upper control arms. They are very low friction, have bronzite bushings on each end, and they're greasable. But don't forget to look at the picture there, because it shows they have 1/2-inch slots on the shaft. So, you want more info about them, go to ppmracerproducts.com or call us at 865-354-9669. And if you want to know more about it, you can click the link below and go back to our YouTube page and check out the tech video we done on it.
So, Matt, I know you're big on safety. Mm-hmm. And I know you've overcome some stuff health-wise to race. And how's that going?
It has good and bad days. When the rain was coming this weekend, man, I was hurting. But, sitting on them bleachers at these AAU tournaments and stuff, that'll do it to you. But we were in Gatlinburg this weekend at an AAU tournament, and that rain coming, I was just wanting to wad up in a ball. But, I've had several surgeries on my back and have some complications there. But, how I become so big on safety is I didn't do it right. Mm-hmm. And I would have something hurt me, and I'd learn from it. And then I'd figure out a way to do it better, So the reason I'm an advocate for safety, and I even, to friends and stuff, I sell the safety products that I use. Seats are huge, helmets, I always say, if you go get car insurance coverage on your brand new truck, you get the best coverage because you want it right. You want it protected. That's what you're doing with safety equipment. You're buying an insurance policy. So you don't want your head in a cheap helmet that's going to bust around it. You want to go out and get the best stuff available. So yeah, I'm big on it. It's because I wasn't educated enough and did it wrong for so long that it bit me. So I'm trying to keep everybody else from having my same fate. I compressed my spine, and at that time I thought I had the best stuff you could get. I compressed my spine, so I learned some stuff there. Wearing a Simpson hybrid, for my neck, when I hurt my neck. You just learn and learn and learn, try to pass that information on.
Yeah. The safety deal's come a long way.
Oh man.
And in this sport.
I see your car. My car looked like yours hanging on the wall. We had a bolt on. Did you run an oval craft seat?
Yeah.
Yeah. Had a bolt, 2 quarter-inch bolts holding on.
And it never held your head.
No, you would hit like a rut or something, and it'd bend over, and you'd be going down the straightaway going,
Yeah, I'd grab it and bend it in.
Yeah, and you got thinking about that, and I'm like, boy, we were stupid.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't doing a thing to help us.
Yeah, it was something.
And now if you bend it, it's somebody else's problem, because the way these things are built now, if it's bent, you're in bad shape, but they protect you.
Well, you think back and looking at Dad's picture there. I remember them guys getting out over at Atomic with just a jacket on and have their blue jeans on and everything.
Well, that car,
Nobody ever thought nothing about
No.
it, dude.
that car had one of them Mount Sayre that Master built. I think that's an 85 or 86 Master built leaf spring car. It had a headrest come off our clamped on the roll bar back here with a tube and had a round
Brown
circle with a pad on it.
Yep.
That was probably better than what I had.
And
Yeah.
most of them was up here on the head, so when you was doing this right here, your neck was going in.
Yeah, we didn't know to line them up either.
No.
I bolted mine. I remember my oval craft seat to hit me right in the helmet. I had to drill into the crease because the headrest the back of the seat was kind of in a bend. I didn't want to drill into that bend, so I put it up. So when I did hit it, it was like this, and I just lay into it,
Yeah, and you had to. I mean, when you like at Atomic, dude, you had to have some place to put your head because you couldn't stand there and a whole race and hold that. You wanted to lay that head, and I would take my head and kind of scotch it in the corner there,
Yeah.
and get it fixed, and be like, okay, here we go.
I remember one time Simpson had a thing that you could tie under your arm and hook to your helmet. And
Yeah.
it would hold your. But then you get to going into the corner, and back then we three-wheeled. And so when you three-wheel, your arm come up, you go like that anyway, Just, we were
jerking your shoulder up.
we were so screwed. If anything real bad happened, we were so screwed.
We were having a blast, though.
Oh, had
Didn't
a
even think about
heck
it.
of a time. Yeah, never thought about it.
Never forget you telling that story about you sliding across that seat.
That's the first 4-cylinder I ever had at Wartburg.
I've done that a lot.
That was
Yeah, that had that old vinyl.
had a vinyl.
Wasn't even a bucket seat. It was
No, it
just
was a bench shot seat
Yeah.
in that old 4-cylinder. And Dad had bought it and had another one that had actually had a race seat, which it was not what we got now, but it was still a race seat. Had the little roll bars in it. And he said, if you win in that car, you can have that newer one that we bought. He bought a deal. Well, I'll never forget when that Wartburg went in the first corner. Now, here I slid. I was sliding all over that thing. And I was like, I got to get out of this.
Listen to this,
Fifth
Hunter.
race.
It didn't have racing seatbelts. It had the GM seatbelts in it.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And the fifth race, I won. I pushed that. I took that to the garage. I pushed it to the back. Never drove it again. I got in that other one. It had the seat with the actual belts. And,
You should have put that slip resistant tape across it, Sandpapered your hind end, but you'd been fine.
I could have put Velcro.
Yeah. To your pants.
Did they have Velcro then?
Yeah, your shoes had it.
I know. I'm just asking you.
But I don't know what y'all had back then.
We had fun.
That sounds
A lot
like
of
Had a
fun.
blast.
But yeah, I slid all over that seat. And it was like I was fighting the seat more than I was the steering wheel. And we'd get the car driving so good. I honestly would drive my car up there with my left hand and lay my arm up on it.
To hold yourself
And
up.
I would drive like this.
Mm-hmm.
And my cousin said, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I done it Atomic one night." He says, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm just driving." I was comfortable.
Yeah.
Had my hand, I laid my hand up there.
Yeah, I won't never forget that. He come through Atomic. We had a modified mini rail car that Buddy Hobson built.
Yeah.
And he come through the corner and he had one hand down here on his, like this inside the steering wheel, and had his hand up here on the roll bar, up here on the deck, up here on the cockpit. And our cousin Terry, he looked at me and he went, "What is he doing?" I said, "Must be driving good."
Yeah.
Raced against Derek Dugan, Chuck Hope,
Oh, yeah.
Skinny,
Oh,
Greg
yeah.
Martin.
Oh, yeah.
Raced against him, yeah. Which Ray Cheek and Calvin and yeah, it was
Had a blast doing that.
but it just wasn't. It didn't make sense, money wise.
No. And when all them guys got that class kind of faded out, and then all them same guys went into the regular minis, and then those became
Right.
race cars. It was awesome to watch, but that was my favorite class to watch at Atomic was the minis.
Yeah.
They would race 4 and 5 wide. Derek Elder, Derek, you guys before they moved that class. You had John Scarborough. I mean, you had a race any night you went there. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't know this was going to be like an Atomic reunion show. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all right.
Well, I guess it's just good memories. And
Yeah.
get to express some of the memories
Well,
with the people that don't know about
we
it.
started off talking about what like the question, what would you fix in racing? Well, there was, I guess the way to say it, there's entertainment value there
100%.
in the lower classes. I remember I watched Street Stock one night. The funniest thing I ever seen on a racetrack, this guy got out there and went to going backwards.
Oh, God.
He run the whole race backwards, and they just let it go. Back then in that class,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the track had to be. They actually had the rule. The track had to be blocked for him to stop, which is kind of dangerous,
But really entertaining.
but really entertaining. Jumping off the top of ropes and flips is, it's entertaining, but it's kind of dangerous.
Yeah. I remember one time at Tom. Now, they did cool stuff all the time. They had this guy getting a cannon
Yeah.
in the infield, and he missed his mark. And it was a bad deal. They rolled the next feature out. They're dealing with this guy in the infield, and they're like, come on, one to go. And everybody's just kind of looking at this guy in the infield like, all right, I guess we got a race,
Yeah, he's scattered on the ground.
He's wadded up in a knot under the ambulance somewhere.
The show must go on.
you had to be tough to live back in.
Hey, after the races one night, they had this deal. They watered the front straightaway, and they had pigs on this one side, and they had these kids, first one to tackle a pig and hold it, won. But the racetrack was watered. Man, them pigs whooped them kids' tails. I mean, they didn't want to be caught, and they made it. Nobody won. All the pigs walked back to the gates, and all them kids laying down like, nobody got the bicycle that night.
But that goes back to putting, it takes the burden off of the promoter and the racer if the grandstand is full.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it helps the racer too. I mean,
Yeah.
we're having to pay a lot of money to get in the back gate because the front gate's not getting used.
Right.
And and these racetracks, I don't know a racetrack promoter that wants to overcharge the racer, but they're doing what they got to do to survive.
Exactly.
I mean, they don't. We've reached a point in society where they don't know how to reach somebody to get them there. I mean, they're doing the best they can. They're working their tails off. And so if they had a full front gate, they would relieve the racer of some of that expense too. I mean, they're just doing what they can to survive.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate.
And we just need to get some pigs and a water truck. It'll fix it.
3 school buses, some Grand Vics.
And Hunter in a cannon in the infield.
Yep.
Wow.
There you go. See,
There you go.
We'll put some tarps down. They didn't even put a tarp down for this guy. He missed his little balloon pad. But we'll get you some tarps so you don't get dirt in all your cuts and bruises.
Yeah, there he goes. Oh, there he is.
That's how it was. They were like, coming to green, one to go. Let's go. They told the ambulance, turn the lights off. These guys are trying to race. That's distracted. These guys, they're working on this guy on the
In their
ground.
eyes.
Yeah. They told them to turn the ambulance lights off. Yeah. It was hilarious. Now,
Now,
kind of
yeah.
concerning then.
Yeah.
Kind of wonder where that guy's at.
I don't know whatever happened.
He
I
moved
didn't
back to Atomic.
Yeah. I never saw him come out of another cannon.
Well, who do you want? I mean, I know there's a lot of people that's been involved to your career, but who? I know you got to thank your sponsors here. You got to plug them.
Yeah, for sure. Rusty has a couple of companies, R&W Properties, and then R&W Glass and Door. And, we have people that help, but the budget that it takes to travel and get on the road, I mean, Rusty has to shoulder the majority, of that. So, without him, we definitely couldn't do what we do. But we got Tennessee Shine that came on board, and they really helped us out. And then they've got a new mountain coaster that they're doing in Pigeon Forge. It's not open yet, but that is helping us as well. The same people own both. And, Vision Wheel really helps me out. They've been with me for several rides now. And CNC Pressure Washing and, down to the product sponsors, do you know PPM has been a part of my career all but the first year that I've raced. It's 23 years now. So you guys are really my longest maintained relationship in racing. you know. So Penske Shocks, Mark Tudor, you know, I just got a lot of people that really help us in and out of, you know, through the week. I was on the phone before we did this with Stop Tech, getting some parts from them, you know, that they came on board this year to help us. So you guys know, I mean, it just takes so many people. You can't have just one person. I mean, it takes so many people to get it done. So I've got a lot of people to thank, you know, not just now. I mean, I really feel like Chip built me into a racer. You know, he took, you know, just nothing. I came back, and you guys know my results before my back surgery. I was less than stellar. And I come back in 2012 and got a CVR car from Chip. He just needed a car on the racetrack. So, I mean, he cut me a smoking deal to get the car. We won and set fast time and track records at 6 different tracks that year and won about every big money race we went to. And that was unheard of for me. I was not that good. And, you know, so Chip kind of developed me into a racer. So, you know, I go back to really my time with him, and he did a lot for me.
Anybody else you want to thank, Mr. Matt?
You know, my mom and dad sacrificed a lot back in, you know, they're past now, but that's just what I can think about. You know, I didn't have nice stuff. I mean, but I had the nicest they could afford. And they gave me every opportunity they could to go racing. So, you know, I wouldn't be here without that. You know, and then I got to think, you know, I thank Chip at CBR, but I got to thank Longhorn. I mean, they've done a lot of stuff for me already this year, and you know, they've been really open with on the technical aspect of the race cars, and so you know, I got to thank them. I think that's going to be a good relationship too.
Absolutely. Well, Mr. Matt, we appreciate you coming on the podcast here with us. It was great to hear some backstories when y'all used to race together and parts of your career. And thank you to everyone over here that watches with us. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Comment down below who else you'd like to see on here. Mr. Matt, do you have a Facebook page for your racing or a website or anything?
Yeah, all of my socials are at mhenderson17 and then matthendersonracing.com.
There you go. So if you want to keep up with Mr. Matt, go to all his social links there and find out all about him and his past and upcoming stuff. But thank you, everybody that watches over here. We appreciate y'all very much. If you need any parts, go to ppmracingproducts.com. If you need any tech help, call us at 865-354-9669 or order the parts over the phone with us. But, guys, we appreciate y'all watching. Again, thank you, Matt, for coming and doing this with us.
Absolutely.
And, guys, we will see y'all on the next one.
Hey, subscribe, like,
Hit that button.
come on, get it up on the wheel, go in there, you just smell poop or see Jesus. Let's get it done.